On this Tobacco University video, we're going to look at the chemical properties in changes of matter. All right, so let's look at some of the chemical properties here. And what are they? Well, they describe a substance's ability to undergo chemical changes, forming new substances with different compositions. They involve breaking or forming of chemical bonds, altering a substance's molecular or atomic structure. They're observed only during chemical reactions. So they can be observed and measured as simple changes in chemical identity, acidity, reactivity, flammability, toxicity, all would fall under this broad category of chemical properties. Now, what are some examples? Well, again, reactivity is how a substance reacts with others. For example, iron will rust when exposed to oxygen in water, forming iron oxide. So don't always think reactivity has the result to do with an explosion. Flammability is the ability to burn in the presence of oxygen. Gasoline, for example, is highly flammable. Oxidation state, tendency to gain or lose electrons. For example, sodium relatively loses electrons to form a cation, Na+1. Other examples would be chemical stability, resistance to decomposition under heat, light, or other conditions. Gold is very chemically stable and does resist corrosion. Toxicity is the ability to cause harm through chemical interactions. For example, carbon monoxide binds really tightly to hemoglobin, preventing oxygen transport. So that's why it can be highly toxic. Tasteless, odorless gas. Electronegativity is a tendency to attract electrons in a bond. So chlorine is high electronegativity in the compound sodium chloride. Now, chemical changes is a process where the substance undergoes a transformation that changes its chemical composition, resulting in the formation of one or more new substances. This involves the breaking or the forming of chemical bonds referred to as a chemical reaction. So, for example, the burning of wood, the mixing of vinegar and baking soda, fireworks would all be examples of chemical changes. Now, what are some specifics when we talk about these chemical changes? Well, tarnishing. Tarnishing is a thin layer of corrosion or discoloration that forms on the surface of certain metals, silver and copper and brass being examples, due to chemical reactions with the substances like oxygen, sulfur, or moisture in the environment. You can see here a tarnished spoon as an example. We then get down here to rusting, which is a chemical corrosion process where the iron or steel react with oxygen and moisture to form iron oxides, commonly known as rust. So if you leave these outside for an extended period of time, a lot of times you'll get rusty nails. The formation of a precipitate, in this picture here, is a solid that forms and separates from a liquid solution during a chemical reaction. Here we're having two liquids mixing together and we're getting a solid that's forming. That solid would be considered a precipitate. Now, lastly, just some examples of chemical changes. Again, not all-inclusive list, but baking potato photosynthesis, electrolysis, producing an odor, decaying, digesting, burning of coal, leaves changing color, potassium reacting with water. All of these are examples of chemical changes. So take kind of this background, take some of these examples and apply them to new situations.